Last week, I finished running the Docklands Light Railway in East London in addition to running the London Underground and London Overground on my Runderground venture so far. All the grounds. Now today, on day 39 of Runderground, I'll be running the Croydon Tramlink, otherwise known as the London Trams, that feature on the London Tube map. Cue the intro. The London Trams is a tram network covering South London from Wimbledon over to Elmers End, Beckenham Junction and New Addington via the Croydon Loop. Opening in 2000, it didn't feature on the London Tube map until 2016. Now I'll be running the London Trams in two sections. The section covered today is from Beckenham Junction to New Addington via Elmers End and Sandylands, and the second section will be from Sandylands to Wimbledon via the Croydon Loop. Shortly after leaving Beckenham Junction, I arrived at the next tram stop of the day at Beckenham Road. I will say, throughout this whole run, I don't know the tram stops. I'm probably going to call them stations. It is what it is. Apologies in advance. Alright, let's head to the next one, which I don't know what that one is, but we're going there. Alright. So at the top of the ramp for Avenue Road tram stop, I believe that this is the least used tram stop on the Croydon tram network. So I've just recently got to Birkbeck tram stop as well as Birkbeck National Rail Station. Now reportedly Birkbeck is still the least used station in London. So at Birkbeck it is connected by a curve of track from Crystal Palace over to Beckenham Junction where we started from. There was talks back in 2008 of converting that curve of track to Crystal Palace to convert it to trams. However, TfL at the time said that the National Rail Service was more than sufficient. So that's why you've got this one-sided tram stop, other-sided National Rail Service at Birkbeck. Now the next stop I think is Harrington Road, where we do pass through a cemetery, which I'm not going to film through. Then just behind me is Harrington Road. The reason why I don't like filming around graveyards and crematoriums, cemeteries, etc. I personally don't like it because I find, again, for me personally, I'm not speaking for the people, but for me personally, I find it as a sign of respect. I think it would be insensitive if I was to run through a graveyard filming and chatting about it. It's just not in my nature. I'm running through South Norwood Country Park right now, where it is indeed the location of a parkrun. So this one has been open since I think 2017. It's mostly on this type of terrain. I know that a part of it does cut through a field, but in the meantime cutting straight across South Norwood Park to get to Elmers End. So I just made it to Elmers End Station, one of the other terminuses of the Croydon trams. Now there was meant to be another platform for the trams constructed here, and it was due for completion in December of 2020, I was reading on. Clearly that hasn't happened. It doesn't even look like they've started it. I'll be curious as to when it is that that's fully implemented, but I'm not counting on it. I followed a footpath that ran adjacent to the tram tracks before passing through South Norwood Park again, and at this junction here, just north of Arena tram stop, you have trams that go to either Elmers End or Beckenham Junction. In fact, speaking of Arena tram stop, just left Arena tram stop, which was named after the Croydon Sports Arena that's just in the vicinity. So we're heading to the next tram stop now, which still has some old remnants of when it used to be a former railway station. We're going to take a look at that, well, once I run there. Now I just made it to Woodside tram stop, where you can see the former remnants of when it used to be a railway station, which I kind of wish it was more implemented into the tram stop itself, but I imagine that it probably wasn't feasible and that the building had different intended uses, purposes, whatever. But it does look very cool though to still see how it's still kind of frozen in time, where you see former archways, windows, etc. Yeah, I find that fascinating. Okay, so we're gonna head to the next station, whichever one that is. Alright, your guess is as good as mine. Alright, let's keep it going. So just on the other side of the fence is Black Horse Lane tram stop, but where I am right now is part of the Addiscombe rail park. And it's because it was a former railway line that branched off from here over to Addiscombe. Now this has been closed since I think the 80s. I would have run over to Addiscombe, however my very good friend Jeff, you might have heard of him, he has a video covering this section of track heading over to Addiscombe, as well as like the former station building, like the station wall that's around there. So if you want to check that out, check out the cars up here if you've not watched it already. But I just wanted to run along here for a bit and then we'll branch off over to the next station, which I believe is the new Addiscombe tram stop. Did I call it Addington earlier? You know what I meant anyway. And I'm here at the newer Addiscombe tram stop, where last time that I was here there was a load of works that were taking place. In fact, part of the trams were closed on the day that I was last running here, but looking at it now, it just seemed like it's all up and running, so that's always handy. So I'm heading down Northampton Road, but I was going to quickly pop by Sandylands and then continue on to Lloyd Park. So checking the stats so far, we've done almost 9 kilometres, and just as a reminder, I don't really care about time unless I'm like in a race, which is different, but with this, I don't really care. I passed Sandylands station. I passed Sandylands tram stop. The next time that I go to Sandylands will be when I cover the section from there over to Wimbledon and doing the Croydon loop. At this point it does start to feel a little bit, I mean if you ignore the road, it does start to feel a bit more rural. Well, the park that's just across the tram line here is Lloyd Park, where there is indeed a parkrun. I would say that this parkrun is probably, out of the 56 parkruns that are in London, I'd say that this one is one of the most toughest, and it's because it's the most hilliest of all of them, but it's not a PB course. I wouldn't come here to try and get the fastest 5k time possible or anything. It's just not possible. Just across the main road is Coombe Wood, but there's also Vanguard Way. At this point I'm pretty certain it's Addington Hills, Addiscombe Hills that we're going through. Emphasis on the hill. God. So I found myself seeing this sign here quite a lot. This is the London Loop, which is a loop around London, obviously. You know, at some point in the future I would love to run the London Loop. I don't know when, or like, yeah, I don't know when that would be, but I'd be very curious to explore the London Loop and see what there is to discover. That won't be for like a long time, so don't hold me to that like anytime soon, okay? So I'm running towards Gravel Hill tram stop, which is a popular tram stop to access the also popular Addington Palace. Now, I've never been there before personally, but I've heard many lovely things about Addington Palace. There seems to be a few workers that's in the area. I don't want to get in anyone's way, but yeah, just behind the bush is Gants Hill? No, Gravel Hill, to get the central line. And just behind me is Addington Village tram stop, or Addington interchange, bus interchange. So we've got a few more stops until the end. I think there's about, well, like 3 or 4 kilometres remaining, so we're going to keep on going. I'm just there, so what was I saying? Let's keep on going. It's just a straight line until the end, so at least there's no chance of getting lost. When I was first here, I thought that that was the last stop and that the next stop was the final one, and then once I got to that one I thought, oh, the next one is going to be the final one, and it just kept on happening. I'm a dumbass, I'm a dumbass.
I'm a dumbass, I'm fucking flunk.
I can't win. Can't win. Which brings me to the final stop of this section today. The Croydon trams here at New Addington. The next week I'll be running from Sandylands over to Wimbledon via the Croydon Loop. Very much looking forward to that one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week for Underground.